I just remember her saying, I have problems, and then just in and out like nothing.
That is St. Augustine Episcopal priest Father Matt Marino speaking publicly for the first time since being stabbed in downtown St. Augustine more than 2 weeks ago.
And this evening, he is speaking exclusively with First Coast News anchor Rich Donnelly. Rich.
Yeah, he's a man of faith who believes he has a calling to help other people. 2 weeks ago, after almost losing his life while waiting to have breakfast, Father Matt Marino opened up about a moment that he was stabbed and lay bleeding, hoping for help.
I'm just sitting there at a breakfast joint with a friend, and this girl walks past, turns, looks at me and says something like, I have problems. And, you know, pastors instinctively go, oh, well, tell me your story. And so I sort of lean forward, and she pulls a knife out and just sticks it in my chest and pulls it back. And I just looked down and said, hey, you just stabbed me.
It was just before 8 a.m. on October 23rd when Father Matt Marino was stabbed on San Marco Avenue in St. Augustine. As he began to cough up blood, he laid on the ground.
And then I roll over and I'm looking up at the sky, and the sky is just really gray. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is a really, really weird way to die. I mean, I had a lot of important meetings today.
All jokes aside, the priest said he had an unscheduled meeting that he believes may have set the tone for the rest of his ordeal.
And then I remember thinking, well, I just don't want to go like this. You know, this seems senseless and random, and not today, Lord. And I felt like the Lord said, okay.
It's natural for a priest to believe in a higher power, but the fire truck that responded to the 911 call was actually blessed by Father Matt 3 years earlier. And that's not all.
I was told by the fire chief that someone from Customs and Border Patrol, a training officer, was driving by and saw me on the ground and happened to be the one person in the county that had a combat chest seal in his car.
22-year-old Ariana Gibbs is charged with second-degree attempted murder for the attack on Father Matt. She has pleaded not guilty.
Who knows why? Why do random things happen? So I know a completely random thing happened to me. And then I know that a series of apparently random things conspired to make sure I'm still here today.
Coming up at 5:30, we'll take a closer look at the medical care that Father Matt Marino received the day he was stabbed and continues to receive. And at 6 o'clock, he will share his message for the woman accused of trying to kill him. Reporting Rich Donnelly, First Coast News, on your side.
And as I laid there just thinking, gosh, what a random way to die. I don't really want to go today. So not today, Lord.
On your sides, Rich Donnelly spent the morning with the priest who's sharing this incredible story, Rich, in answered prayer.
Absolutely. Father Matt Marino said that he has a ministry to continue and is grateful to the help of first responders and medical professionals that will soon let him continue that ministry after being stabbed in broad daylight. Today, Father Matt said that in the midst of that terrifying ordeal, he was put at ease by prayer and a belief that God would bring him through.
So I hear the first responders trying to figure out where do we take him because he's not going to survive the transport. And I just remember sitting there thinking, well, we'll see.
Father Matt Marino was rushed from San Marco Avenue in St. Augustine to HCA Florida Memorial Hospital in Jacksonville with a severed pulmonary artery and a collapsed lung. A 40-minute trip.
I heard the trauma surgeons in the hospital telling me I'd lost 2.5 units of blood. You know, that's half my blood.
Faith is a huge part of Father Matt's life. Faith in a higher power and faith in the medical team that held his life in their hands.
Although I kept hearing people say, this guy's not going to make it, I think I always thought, you know, from that, after that initial prayer, and I didn't hear a voice or see lights, I just had this sense that it's going to be okay.
He spent 6 days in the ICU.
I still have pain. And all said and done, I think I had probably 5 or 6 feet of tubing in and out at some point. And where those tubes went in and out is still painful. You know, getting back kind of full range of breath is painful. I'm seeing a therapist, seeing a trauma specialist.
Despite trying to stand up from his hospital bed in the ICU the day after being stabbed, Father Matt is taking things slowly. Just last week, he began taking walks through St. Augustine. But there's no timetable to getting back inside the church for services.
My internal wiring says yesterday, and therapists and doctors say, hold off a while. I miss church. So miss the people, miss the work.
Father Matt says his physical pain will heal. He hopes his attacker finds healing as well.
I mean, whatever this poor girl was going through, it was surely worse for her. You know, who wakes up on a Wednesday morning and says, I'm going out to knife people?
Ariana Gibbs has pleaded not guilty to the attempted second-degree murder charge brought against her. Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll share what Father Matt's message is to the woman who stabbed him. Reporting Rich Donnelly, First Coast News, on your side.
Our top story tonight at 6, stabbed in the middle of the day in a random attack. A St. Augustine priest speaks exclusively with First Coast News after being released from the hospital.
It's been more than 2 weeks now since Father Matt Marino was stabbed while just waiting for breakfast on San Marco Avenue in St. Augustine. And tonight, he's sharing his story of his faith and healing with On Your Side's Rich Donnelly.
Jeannie and Anthony, he almost lost his life on a sidewalk in St. Augustine after a random attack. Physical wounds are still healing 2 weeks after Episcopal priest Matt Marino was bleeding out after being stabbed. Spiritually, he said he found comfort in one of his faith's most important principles. Currently, Ariana Gibbs is behind bars, charged with second-degree attempted murder and accused of stabbing Father Matt Marino in the chest.
Now the law is going to do what the law is going to do, and is going to make sure that society is safe and hopefully get her help. But I harbor no ill will. And when the time comes to see her, I'll tell her, I forgive you utterly and completely.
For Marino, forgiving his attacker is the most fundamental exhibition of a faith in which he has dedicated his life.
It is Christianity. I mean, Christianity is you are forgiven through the love of Jesus. So how could I not forgive her? I've been forgiven so much. How could I not extend that forgiveness?
Compassion from a man who went through life-saving surgery. Father Matt is not yet healthy enough to return to work, but when he does return, he hopes to continue a ministry that helps young people, just like the young woman who stabbed him.
I don't know what this means for me personally in my ministry. I do know that I want to make sure she knows that as far as I'm concerned, she's free.
He continues to heal physically and hopes the simple fact that he's alive today can help the woman behind bars accused of stabbing him.
I'm hoping that this saves Ariana, because if you knife a pastor at breakfast in a state with the death penalty, that's kind of it. I mean, the fact that I'm alive might be a chance for her.
Ariana Gibbs is currently being held in St. Johns County Jail without bond, accused of second-degree attempted murder. She has pleaded not guilty, and her next court date is December 2nd. Father Matt said that he's trying to walk through his neighborhood to gain his strength back, and added that he's grateful to everyone who's prayed for him. Reporting Rich Donnelly, First Coast News, on your side.